Hi, Caitlyn. So there's legislation in various states to ban biological boys who are trans from playing girls' sports in school. What's your opinion on that?
What's up, guys? Derek, moreplacemordates.com. Today we are going to be talking about the controversial topic of transgender athletes competing in women's sports. So if you have a male transitioning to female and they compete in female sports, you know, how fair is it when they're manually suppressing their testosterone levels? Obviously, you know, the argument is that these are no longer men biologically. They are, you know, identifying as females, and their hormone levels reflect that. So they have, you know, no performance enhancing advantage, and therefore they are essentially the equivalent of a biological female. So we did the video a few weeks ago at this point of trans athlete smokes everyone in women's races and then claims that science proves it's fair. And this was about Veronica Ivy and basically just fucking shitting on people in cycling events because, you know, she literally was exposed to peaked gonadotropins coming out of her goddamn ball sack while she was going through puberty. You know, that's like the fucking structural integrity of her entire body is totally different than, you know, a biological female that did not have the opportunity to go through puberty with fucking crank through the roof testosterone and DHT levels. So obviously, and that's not even factoring in there's giant amount of estrogen that is going to inhibit them from getting as tall or as long of limbs or a bunch of other things that men are otherwise going to be able to do. So anyways, this is a fucking hot topic, and it's very, very controversial, of course, even though I think the answer is pretty clear as day as to if there is a performance enhancing advantage or not. But this TMZ video blew up. It is Caitlyn Jenner, if you're a biological boy, you shouldn't be in girls' sports. So obviously coming from Caitlyn Jenner, this is like the number one fucking person to be talking about this that's going to have an opinion that may or may not like blow up the fucking internet when it comes to this topic. So if you don't know, Caitlyn Jenner used to be, fuck, I should have checked the name first. But anyways, she used to be, I think it was Bruce, and that was in 1976. She won a gold medal in a fucking Olympic event as a male. So this was her back in 76, and obviously as of recent, she has transitioned and identifies as a female. But obviously during her, athletic career, she was functioning as a biological male. So it's not directly a parallel to the situation, but she obviously has a very like insider insight into this topic in particular. So anyways, this was her stance when she was put on the fucking spot by some guy at TMZ.
Hi, Caitlyn. So there's legislation in various states to ban biological boys who are trans from playing girls' sports in school. What's your opinion on that?
Imagine just like you're out to get coffee and you're just like trying to relax. You just woke up and you get put on the goddamn spot by a paparazzi guy who is going to publish the video regardless if you say something or not. And it's going to go viral as fuck. And you literally can't even leave your house without getting goddamn bombarded. About the most controversial topic fucking ever.
Index. And this is a question of fairness. That's why I oppose biological boys who are trans competing in girls' sports in school. It just isn't fair.
So, interesting stance to take, which pretty much goes totally against the thought process of somebody like Veronica Ivy, who shits on everyone in cycling events and then kind of portrays it in a way that, you know, it's totally fine and it's fair and it's, you know, unjust to not let her, you know, compete against people and whatnot. So the rest of the TMZ interview is, well, it's not an interview, but this guy, you know, goes on to basically try and make her look bad, I guess, for having an opinion.
And we have to protect girls' sports in our school.
But if someone transitions and now identifies as a girl, isn't it delegitimizing their identity to prevent
Have a good day.
So this fucking guy is like, you know, trying to make her look horrible for saying something that is like clearly the context is around the athletics component. And if it's fair for a person who grew up with peaked fucking testosterone and DHT levels and lower estrogen levels to who's literally developed bigger bones, fucking more contractile tissue accrual, shit, banked up myonuclei that you're otherwise going to retain for years on end, taller, fucking bigger hands, bigger feet, all this kind of shit that is going to play into many different sports in many different aspects in a advantageous way that may not be able to be, quantified on paper necessarily, which is, ridiculous, because at the end of the day, it's not too hard to tell that Veronica Ivy fucking smokes like every single person, even though there are a lot of male athletes who otherwise are not considered like elite physical specimens in male cycling who otherwise smoke Veronica Ivy in, just directly competing against one another, but they don't compete in the fucking female leagues, obviously, because it would not be fair for the exact same reason. Now, again, the argument comes in is manually adjusting your T levels to be equivalent to that of a biological female. Does that kind of attenuate the performance enhancing element? Because at the end of the day, now you are essentially just a biologically equivalent human. So like, how is it unfair anymore, right? And that's why there's these guidelines put into play where you restrict T levels either in transitioning, males to females, or biological females who have disproportionately high testosterone levels, which is probably worth a video in itself. I've had quite a few requests to cover, female athletes who have like genetically predisposed to hyper aggressive testosterone levels and whatnot, and the, guidelines that have been put on them to kind of like force them to restrict their own hormone production just to compete in sports. But anyways, going back to the performance enhancing advantage. So obviously this TMZ guy, trying to look, all high and mighty and like the fucking, superior intellect of, the most open-minded guy. Like, aren't you delegitimizing this shit? Even though it's literally some fucking person who has had the opportunity to grow more fucking bone mass and muscle mass and a bunch of other shit over the years, and literally doesn't even have the same neurological wiring as a fucking biological female, and is trying to make it seem like, oh, you're a bad person for having a fucking opinion on how fair it is or not. Which obviously is like, the context is, it's ridiculous to even take it in that way. So anyways, Caitlyn Jenner has a take on trans athletes you might not expect. Kind of just a summarization of what we just said. But let's see. So it's an interesting stance coming from Caitlyn, who of course is a trans woman herself and a former Olympic champion. But check out her rationale. She chalks it up to fairness and protecting the integrity of girls' sports. And again, it's not even just protecting the integrity. Like, not only is it not fair, but if you're in like a combat sport, for example, you have some chick with literally like thicker goddamn bones, as well as more contractile tissue accrued over the years, taller, longer fucking reach, like all the shit that comes along with it. Like, how is that even safe to say like, oh, you can't be mean to the person, like not let them compete against girls? You're putting the fucking chicks in like harm's way in order to be like, just to like, the transitioning males to females, which I think most people who have like rationale can wrap their head around the fact that it would be like the equivalent of saying a guy who takes super physiologic amounts of hormones stepping in the ring against a guy who's natural. It's fucking dangerous to have a guy in the UFC who's sauced up competing against a guy who's not sauced up. They're literally going in the ring to fucking kill each other. And to have a guy who's sauced up fighting against a guy who's not sauced up is not really fair. And it's the exact same fucking thing if you have, well, it's not the exact same thing, because again, at least the two males went through the same puberty exposure. When you have the female side of the equation, you have one person who didn't go through male puberty and one that did. That's like a whole nother fucking level, dude. That's some nuclear fucking comparison shit. So anyways, it's a hot button issue right now across the country. Upwards of 34 states are considering legislation that would ban trans athletes from competing based on their gender identity, and at least 5 have already turned the bills into law. Caitlyn's words here are huge. She staked out her position, and it's a stark contrast to Newsom's views. Now for some numbers, because this isn't as black and white as it may seem. While some argue trans girls would naturally perform better in athletics because of higher testosterone levels, that's not entirely true, at least not across the board anyway. So say scientists. There are studies examining the topic, and they suggest that while yes, trans women have tended to perform better against their cisgender counterparts in certain activities, running events appear to be the big one. It's not conclusive that their testosterone levels alone are the sole cause for that, and it's not always the case either. Yeah, the fucking testosterone levels that you're manually altering, are you going to take away the years of fucking puberty that they've gone through? Or are you going to take away the fucking first 20 years of their life or whatever it is, that they have been exposing themselves to 10 times the amount of testosterone and DHT. I'm not just saying the hormonal fucking components. Like, think about the GH, the IGF-1, every single downstream cascade that has to do with physiologic development and the structural foundation of a fucking male person. All that shit. It's not just performance enhancing directly through your, you know, T levels. It's all the shit you're fucking working with, you know? Again, I don't have to break down all of the different structural differentiations between a fucking male and a female. And then when you take that male and you transition them into a female, do they lose all that shit? Does it all fucking fall apart? Sure, you're gonna lose some muscle, you're gonna lose some stuff, but the shit that you have built up, you don't suddenly, your bones don't literally shrink. Like there's some shit that does not go away that you're going to retain indefinitely, and it's not necessarily fair. And in addition to that, the thresholds that you have to keep your T levels below are actually a lot higher than I anticipated. I thought they were gonna be like borderline castration levels to try and like level the playing field sort of, but it does not seem to be the case, at least from the articles I've read. One example is in here, it was a trans weightlifter Laurel Hubbard set to make history at Tokyo Olympics. So this is May 5th, this was published. So this is a transgender weightlifter, was effectively guaranteed a place in the women's super heavyweight category, which, you know, obviously doesn't seem too fair. But anyways, all they need to do to be able to qualify, apparently, under IOC guidelines issued in November 2015, athletes who transition from male to female can compete in the women's category without requiring surgery to remove their testes, provided their total testosterone level in serum is kept below 10 nanomoles per liter for at least 12 months, a rule followed by the IWF. Anyways, and then it says, I'll show you how that number sounds low, 10 nanomoles per liter. When you break it down to nanograms per deciliter, you're gonna be like, what the fuck? However, a number of scientific papers have recently shown people who have undergone male puberty retain significant advantages in power and strength even after taking medication to suppress their testosterone levels. Go figure. Hubbard lived as a male for 35 years and did not compete in international weightlifting, but since transitioning in 2012, she has won several elite titles. In an interview after finishing second in the World Championships in 2017, Hubbard said the rules that enabled me to compete first went into effect in 2003. Let's see. They are known as the Stockholm Consensus with the IOC, but I think even 10 years ago, the world perhaps wasn't ready for an athlete like myself, and perhaps it is not ready now, but I got the sense that at least that people were willing to consider me for these competitions, and it seemed like the right time to put the boots on and hit the platform. Yeah, all right. So let's go look at these test levels, and you can see just how fucking ridiculous it is. So if we plug in the unit conversion of 10 nanomoles per liter, you can see here, this is equivalent to 288.42 nanograms per deciliter. So what does that mean? Well, it's considered what the female reference range is for natural testosterone production. It is about, if you were a high tier fucking genetic specimen of a female, you would be producing maybe 60 nanograms per deciliter if you were lucky. That would be high. That is not for a chick who is on birth control and is suppressing her T levels by like fucking 50%, which is a lot of chicks. This is not a chick who has subpar lifestyle and diet practices. This is not a chick who is not the fucking cream of the crop in terms of testosterone production and gonadotropin output. This is like the fucking hyper elite fucking top of the top female is producing 60 nanograms per deciliter. And on top of that, how much free testosterone does she have relative to these transgender athletes? Because we all know that SHBG is majorly regulated by estrogen levels. So if you have a female athlete who has an SHBG fucking double a transgender athlete, what's their free test? Is it even fucking close to equivalent, or do you have a disproportionate increase or disproportionately higher free test as a transgender athlete than a female athlete? So even if maybe your total T, by the way, the fucking total T is not even close. If you have a 288, does that sound anywhere close to 60, bro? No, it's not even fucking close. It's not even the realm of fucking comparison. This is like a borderline hypogonadal man. And like, it's not fair, you know? This is like fucking a shit ton more. This is like almost 5 times more, dude. Like, that's ridiculous. And this is very lenient. And this is not even factoring in the free T, which is actually freely available to tissues to transcribe their effects. So well, even if we had, like, example, apparently in some leagues, like, I guess it's a bit different. Like, this is the Caster Semenya, debacle that everyone is, the debate is very fiery around this one in particular, because this is an individual who has higher than natural testosterone levels, and the debate is whether she should have to suppress them or not in order to compete. So this is like a totally different thing not related to the transgender, thing whatsoever. So anyways, but this is an example of the testosterone cutoff. So in here, this is dealing with the IAAF. And apparently their eligibility is a testosterone level in an athlete has to be less than 5 nanomoles per liter for at least 12 months prior to being declared eligible to compete. Previous limit was 10. So if we take 5, let's see what that is. 144.21. So again, let's relate it back to biological females. What's the peak cream of the crop fucking female who's not on birth control, who's not doing anything to suppress her T? What is the fucking top of the top? 60 nanograms per deciliter, dude. So is this even close? Again, over double still. So no, it's not fair. It's just not. And again, I'm not saying, obviously this isn't any context for my stance on the Caster Semenya thing. That's a totally different video. But I'm just saying in general, these cutoffs, even if you had a transgender athlete that was identifying as a female and they were forced to go down to 144 to compete, you're still over fucking double what a top tier female, biological female is. And that's not even factoring your disproportionately higher free test that you may have as a result of much less estrogen than a female. So no, it's not only are the hormones not equated to one another like is implied in a bunch of these fucking interviews and shit, but in addition to that, the actual structural foundation of the fucking human is entirely different. So no, it's not fair whatsoever. I don't even know why this is a debate, and I think that was a totally fair statement by Caitlyn to make. And I would be, aligned with that stance. In my opinion, I don't think it's fair at all. It kind of sucks that they don't have somewhere to compete. I get it. Like, you want to play fucking sports and excel in something that you're passionate about. But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know what the fucking solution is. I'm just, all I know is that the actual biology and the fucking outcome of going through puberty as a male does not have a fair playing ground in comparison to biological females who did not have that ability to expose themselves to a fuck ton of androgenic hormones throughout their entire youth. So that is my stance on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Definitely a interesting intertwinement of endocrinology, pharmacology, and maybe even some political shit, So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All the comments help the algorithm. They're much appreciated. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplates.com. Follow me on Instagram at moreplates.dates. Facebook, Snapchat, BitChute, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My TRT clinic. It's all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home. I recommended lab tests and diagnostics to stay on top of your health. Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode, pre-workout formulas I design myself from scratch, and anything else I'm associated with. It's all in the video description below. And if you are going to use my TRT clinic, it is backed by the highest quality patient care coordinators and doctors you will find in the country. I have vetted them myself personally, and they reflect the same quality of information I put out on my channel. So if you're interested in exploring hormone replacement therapy and or optimization in any capacity, you're in good hands, and I highly recommend you check it out. It is in the video description below. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.